Alhamdulillahi wahda, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da, amma ba'd. So we had the introduction of Nur Ul Idaah, the primer of Hanafi Fiqh, the light of clarification. So let's go through some terminologies today, and inshallah we start book afterwards. The first terminology is fard and wajib. So fard and wajib means compulsory, obligatory, necessary, and they're similar. But Hanafis, in Hanafi fiqh, there's a clear distinction between the two. Other imams would take it to mean the same thing, one and the same thing. They're both Arabic word, obviously. Hanafis have different categorization. Omitting a fard will nullify an action, and rejecting a fard will amount to disbelief. So that is the main distinction. Fard and wajib, they're both compulsory and they both should be acted upon. But rejecting a wajib, remember the two things. One is the belief in that fard. So I believe prayer is fard 5 times a day. Now, as a human being, as a weak person, as a weak Muslim, for whatever reason, I do not pray, God forbid. Someone doesn't pray. That person still remains Muslim if we believe prayer to be fard. But if we said, you know what, Allah doesn't need prayer. I do not think that we need to pray. It's just, oh, okay, be nice to people and that's enough. I'm not going to pray. So even if this person prays and yet he does not believe prayers to be fard, he is not a Muslim. You have to believe a fard to be fard. That's part of your aqidah. And if you omit a fard action from any action, which was an integral part of that. For example, in your prayer, there are certain actions now which are fara'id, certain actions which are must, and there are certain which are wajib. So another distinction is, if you omit a fard action, that action would not be completed unless you do that or make up for that by the same action. So you miss your ruku in your prayer, you cannot have that prayer accepted. It's not completed. It has to be having a ruku, additional ruku, which you missed, the missed ruku, you have to do that. Whereas wajib, if you miss in your prayer, for example, you forgot to say dua qunut, dua of witr, and then you realize in sajda, you can make up by doing sajda sahab. So you didn't need to repeat that. So this is another distinction. Okay, so those are the two main distinctions. There are certain bits, we just leave it, inshallah ta'ala, but have that. And so linguistically, fard means to decree. Whilst in Sharia, it denotes that which is delineated in such a manner that no increase or decrease is possible. The command of fard is communicated by So the command of a fard is communicated by a definite, which is qat'i text, wherein there is no ambiguity. It's clear and specific. To act upon it and to believe in it is a binding. Whereas wajib technically means that which is established by a text of an ambiguous or speculative dhanni authority, such as an allegorically interpreted mu'awwal verse, an ayah which has more than one possible meaning or understanding. Okay, that could be wajib but not fard. So remember that distinction, inshallah. And we have discussed this qat'i and dhanni already in our jurisprudence Islamic fiqh, usul al-fiqh lessons. So you can check those recordings and hopefully that will clarify. So just to summarize that, evidences are of two types. They're definite, which is qat'i, or they're speculative, which are dhanni. What is definitive proof? Definitive sources, Quran. Every ayat of Quran is definitive in its establishing the authority. So this is definitely there. So anything which has categorical meaning in it, it is going to be a definite proof. Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or hadith mashhura or tawatira, massively transmitted, well-known, famous narrations. These narrations are also considered source of definitive proof. And thirdly, ijma', which is a consensus. Whereas speculative, any other solitary narration. Solitary narration is a narration which has not reached to the massively transmitted level. And that could be 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 70. So as long as it's 1 or 2 narrations, 3 narrations, they are considered solitary narration, 1 or few narrations. That does not become a binding in that sense. Although you act upon it, but it does not make something fard or haram. It makes it wajib or makruh tahrimi, for example, according to Hanafis. Likewise, independent reasoning of imams or shuyukh, ulama, that is a speculative one as well. That's just a summary. So then another term is sunnah mu'akkada. So an act upheld by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regularly, perpetually, whilst letting it to be known that it is performed, its performance is not fard, such as the 2 rak'at before the fard of Fajr, 4 after Dhuhr, 2 after Maghrib, 2 after Dhuhr, 2 after Isha. All of those 12 rak'at in a day are sunnah mu'akkada, highly emphasized sunnah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would perform them very regularly. He would not let go of them. Even during travel, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not let go of 2 rak'at of Fajr sunnah before Fajr fard, even during travel. And this is how much emphasis he would put. And he would make it clear that this is not fard. You should try and do it. So then you may ask, what is the difference between this and wajib then? The difference is that if you did not act on this, one off here and there, then you're not sinful. And if you did it with a reason that you couldn't do it for a reason, that no problem. For wajib, you have to do it regardless. Unless you're ma'adhur, you're excused shan, like unconscious. You couldn't wake up, then you have to make up for that. And sunnah mu'akkada, you don't have to make up, you can't make up. The abandonment of sunnah mu'akkada is not punishable, but nevertheless, the perpetrator will be reproached. He'll be told off. You've done something bad. Because its omission would be tantamount to opposing that which is Prophet ﷺ's regular habit, which he did it regularly. Going against his way is not the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't achieve anything unless you follow the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what Quran is replete with. This is what we say in each rakat. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, sirat alladhina an'amta alayhim. Guide us to the right path, the path that your favored people tread upon. And who are those favored people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, min al-mu'mineen was-siddiqeen was-shuhada'i was-salihin. From the prophets, from the righteous Sahaba, from the shuhada, the martyrs, and from the righteous people after Sahaba. All those categories, these are the 4 categories. They would lead one to other. The ulama, the pious people of modern time would take you to the pious people of the previous time, and they would continue to go back to all the imams, and then to Sahaba, and then to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the line that we follow. Abandoning regularly, if someone leaves their sunnah mu'akkada, remember, regularly, they actually would miss out on getting intercession from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They would not get the intercession from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by as a honor for them, because every believer who follows the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has some entitlement in the life hereafter as the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because each prophet has responsibility towards the ummah. He is taking himself out of that, protection or that extra privilege. That privilege is taken away from him. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam intercedes on his behalf. That's his prerogative. But he would only do to those who follow his way. When he's emphasizing it, look at it from this angle. He's sitting next to you and said, "Oh, by the way, do sunnah as well." He said, "Is that fun? I'm not going to do that stuff. So why are you asking me, man? No, is that what you're going to say to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If you did, then you would know what would happen to you. It is only because he's not here with us and we did it, it still doesn't get that much sin. If during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked you to stand up and you didn't, you have left the fold of Islam. This is how the level of respect is, and there should be. Sunnah ghair mu'akkada is the action which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not perform regularly, but he did every so often. So that is the good action. It's also called mustahab, is a recommended one. We should try and you get used to these actions. But if you didn't, then you still are not sinful. The giving of non-obligatory charity for one who is capable, the 4 rak'at of Asr before first prayer, 4 of us, they are all ghair mu'akkada sunnah. Nafil charity, nafil fasting, they are sunnah. Mondays and Thursdays, for example, you could do that. And then comes adab or adab as a plural. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did those actions once through his lifetime, here and there. It is rewardable. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But if you did it, better. Like nafil action as well. Adab or nafil, similar thing. Adab is actually the appropriate way of doing certain thing in the right time, in the right manner, with the right intention. On the other hand, you have haram, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has categorically made haram. This is exact counterpart at 180 degree of fard. So definite authority to make it haram. Eating the flesh of dead animal, drinking alcohol, fornication, adultery, unjustly killing someone else. And likewise, these are the physical ones that we know of: backbiting, slandering, lying, yeah, the many like this. Makruh, on the other hand, is to stay away from them. There are 2 categories of makruh. Makruh tahrimi, makruh tanzih. Makruh tahrimi, makruh tanzih. Tahrim means to make, makruh is about to be haram, close to haram. And tanzih, which is, doesn't appeal to a sound nature, sound mind, sound heart would not appeal to it. It would stay away. It doesn't like it. It's like in a circle, some dislike it, disgusted it. So this is why haram is completely diametrical opposition to fard. Likewise, makruh tahrimi is completely opposite, 180 degree to wajib. They're the same category in opposite direction. Makruh tanzih is again opposite to mustahab or ghair mu'akkada sunnah. So makruh, dislike; tahrimi, severely dislike; tanzih, mildly dislike. And tahrimi is speculative reason. Evidence is like wajib has a speculative reason. That's for commission, this is for omission. Like men wearing silk and gold, according to the 3 narrations, 1 or 2 narrations. So in Hanafi school, it is similar to haram. But remember, haram and makruh tahrimi, you have to stay away from both of those. Like you have to carry out fard and wajib both. The same, with practical reasons, for practical purposes. But obviously, if you reject haram, you leave the fold of Islam. If you reject a makruh tahrimi, you do not come out of the fold of Islam, but you still are a very big sinner and transgressor. May Allah save us all from this big sin. Not covering your head is makruh dislike. It doesn't appeal. Imam without headgear leading the prayer, how would you feel about that? Using toothpaste while fasting, dislike action. You accidentally swallow. That's not the whole idea. Anyway, mubahat is the middle category. Allowed. You can use it. There's no harm in doing or not doing. The both sides is equal. Any food. You feel hungry now after you had the lesson. I just want to have a cup of tea. So what? Go for it. Not having it is not a problem. Having it is not a problem. Both ways fine. Okay. Shawkani said there's no condemnation whether you do it or not. Sometimes this is done to give exception, to make something allowed, which was initially not allowed. For example, certain actions were not permissible and then they became permissible. Okay. It is also called halal or jaiz. And finally, fard ala al-kifaya. Fard ala al-kifaya, something which is fard as a collective obligation. It is a communal obligation. For example, your i'tikaf, an obligation which everyone as a community has to do it. If someone has done it, everyone would be absolved. If the bare minimum number has done it, fine. If no one has done it, everyone would be sinful. So for example, janaza prayer. Some people in the community need to go and lead that and do janaza. If no one does it, and someone is buried without janazah, everyone in the community would be sinful. Likewise, inviting to Islam, asking people to refrain from haram, prohibition for all the, give da'wah, amr bil ma'ruf, nahy anil munkar. Likewise, in the current time, it is necessary that enough people should know about the existence of God. Enough people should always know about different qira'at of Quran. Enough people, ulama should be there to be able to read all the text and hadith mastery and whatnot. So there has to be this ilm of becoming top level alim or alim as a scholar in any of the religious sciences is collective obligation. If we do not have enough people in the community, in the society, then everyone would be sinful. If we have enough, then we are absolved. So those who are doing it, they're actually making us absolved from it. If no one went to the masjid for i'tikaf in the masjid in Ramadan last 10 days, everyone in the community would be sinful. If one or two people did it, we've been absolved. Do we go and thank them? Do we even find out who that person is? No, because we're not in this mindset that someone is doing a favor to us. That is why the Ummah used to and support those ulama. They would go and thank those teachers in the community. They would go and thank those people doing i'tikaf on their behalf. Because mashallah, these are the people who are helping us. So we are so worldly centered that we wouldn't go for that. Anyway, inshallah, we leave it there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.